What is going on, YouTube world? Uh, the rare wrestling news on the channel. Even though I'm a fairly big wrestling fan. Cards, wrestling, and tornadoes. That seems to be the life. Oh, glare from the old outside. Actually, sun today, so that's nice. Big news, WWF. 9 were released on the outset. A 10th just came in over the wire moments ago, literally. So we're going to go through those quickly. And I'll give a little synopsis, what I think may happen. It's never any surprise that WWE does this. Last year it was 20 wrestlers and talent were released. Some came back, some didn't. Some went to AEW, some went off to Ring of Honor, and just some went away. It's part of the business. Folks will say, well, it sucks. What? Every big company, if you're not turning the profit margin you want to, has to adjust somehow, and usually that's cutting workforce. In this instance, in-ring talent. So, start off with Peyton Royce, Billy Kay. They were the Iconics. They were split up at the draft, and that's something as nice as it is to sort of shift some of the talent. A lot of the breaking up of the tag teams, even if it's a lower tier team, I think, I like that angle. Right in my eye, and it looks odd. As much as I think some teams need to be broken up like the Rockers did. Obviously, Shawn Michaels was doing a lot better than Marty Jannetty. You can see a little, some talent there, some promise. Some of them I just don't think they have any idea. But creative, WWE creative has any idea what to do with them. So they just break them up. And if they flounder, you release them and you're pretty much off the hook for any creative responsibility. So I like them as a team. I think they did well as a team. Their gimmick, I wouldn't say it was completely over, but at the same time, I think their gimmick was over. More so than a lot of stuff that's on TV right now. Do they stay a team? Do they go away? I don't know with them. I really don't. Mickie James, she was last on the Royal Rumble this past year in 2021 in the Women's Royal Rumble. I still think her as a heel can draw something. If nothing else, eventually put someone else over. Give her a little life, a little gas left in the tank. So, is that with Impact? She's had history there. Is that with AEW? Who knows? She'd be a good veteran to bring in and help their roster. They've got a roster that's stacked with some solid up-and-coming female wrestlers. Not tons of experience. That's where she could be a benefit. And I think if she went there, that start off as a in-ring talent, maybe have your retirement match, and eventually, as you're still an in-ring talent, you transition to somebody that's like a Mercedes Martinez was early on for NXT until she got back in the ring, training some of these women, helping develop. I think that'd be perfect for Mickie James, and I hope to see her do that because I don't think she's wrestled. Obviously, her last match, she's always been one of my favorites in the ring. Mike, nothing I go wild for, but in the ring, she's very solid, very fundamentally sound, and again, everything looks natural when she's wrestling. Chelsea Green, Another one that I think would be better off, probably not in AEW, but in Impact. But again, now that they got that sort of bridge deal with AEW, that could work to her benefit too. Her male companion, as it were, is sitting down there in Impact right now. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. Matt Cardona, FKA Zack Ryder. So I could see her going there. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think Ring of Honor, although who knows, go there and feud with Maria Kanellis. But I think she's knocked. I don't remember. I want to say that's a real thing though. The 10th one, that was just before I started this video. Mojo Rawley, winner of the Andre the Giant Battle Royal 2-3 years ago. I had a little excitement, I think, at last year's WrestleMania when him and Rob Gronkowski, hosted it, and then I think he won the 24/7 title during it, and then Gronkowski beat him for it. So a gimmick I never got into. I'm not the get hyped. I'm not of that like EDM music where you're just constantly the Darude and Avicii, R.I.P. and folks of that ilk. The constant movement. I'm not that. The planets that are in my orbit that constantly are around me would jut off, and Lord knows where they'd go. But the gimmick I didn't like. I thought he had talent. I just don't think they had a clue. Creative had a clue what to do with him, and it's a shame when you see some of these people that you're like, okay, you're gonna do something, but what? They just don't have the wherewithal and the brain power, and that's why I wish it wouldn't all be Hollywood writers. I wish you had a couple long time, even like wrestling insiders, as it were, and then some wrestlers. I know it's always Vince McMahon's final decision, so the blame for some of the stuff can lay at his feet. You can always go back to, well, the character didn't get over because of the wrestler's inability to perform it the way it was drawn up in the boardroom, or it just wasn't a good gimmick to begin with. But I digress. One that fits that, and one of my favorites, I still somewhere, I don't even know where I've got it. I looked for it before the video because I wanted to represent him, but Bo Dallas, who is Bray Wyatt's brother, IRS, Mike Rotundo, his son, he was cut. And I'm happy because WWE hasn't done anything with him. I don't even know if he's been on house shows pre-pandemic. But I think TV was November 19, I think I read, the last time he was on TV in a match. Which sucks because I think that Bo Leave gimmick I really enjoyed. A lot of people didn't. That's fine. I was a big fan of it. I bought a shirt because of it. So that would be one I'd see in AEW. I don't know if he'd go over to like New Japan. I can't see that, or Mexico for like AAA or CMLL. Ring of Honor, Impact, maybe. AEW just seems like a natural fit for him if he wants to continue. I know at least he was coming up at the same time as Cody Rhodes, so I don't know if there's a big friendship there, but when you have the generation of wrestling, Dusty and Rotundo wrestling at the same time, Cody and Bo Dallas wrestling at the same time, you don't know how much of that factors into a friendship, but I'd say AEW would be nice. I don't know how you'd do the gimmick though. That'd be the one thing. The Bo Leave. I think he still can make it work, but again, if WWE has the rights and they're not going to relinquish him, you got to come up with something else, and that's going to be tough. Wesley Blake. I don't even remember him. I know he was in a tag group, but when you're not on TV that much, and I haven't been as diligent watching the WWE product outside of pay-per-views for quite a while, you're not on the radar. I think he'll again. A lot of these guys and gals are young enough that they will go on to do something. I mean, none of them are going to be done. Kalisto, the Lucha House Party or whatever it was, nothing works lucha wise in WWE like it did in ECW and I'm talking ECW, the original incarnation, and WCW. That was where lucha wrestling shone the brightest. WWE has tried to replicate that with the Rey Mysterios, Eddie Guerreros. They did it because of their character, because of the believability they brought to the table. Nobody else really since them has done that kind of job where you buy into them. It's just sort of whatever. So I think he can pretty much wrestle anywhere, and I think he will. I think he go back to Mexico maybe, go to New Japan. Who knows? I don't think he'll be ticketed for AEW or Ring of Honor or Impact. I just don't think that's going to be the pathway. Tucker from Heavy Machinery. When another tag team, they split up again. I know they wanted to give Otis the push because he had, I think, the Mandy Rose, like the love triangle, Dolph Ziggler. Again, that's another one that I remember seeing on what pay-per-view was it where he had the notes in his hand before the promo in the back. So there's work to be done, but he's got a solid foundation. I don't know where he'll end up, but I think repackage him a little, get the green off a little. Again, you WWF, it's not everybody's gonna be 100% used to the promos, used to all this camera time. It's a big change, so I don't knock anybody for trying to do what they have to do to not sound just like they don't know what's going on. So I think he'll get a chance somewhere. And the biggest name of everyone is Samoa Joe. One of my favorites. I love Joe. I've been watching him forever. The first Ring of Honor shows. I've watched him through the years of when he came on Impact or TNA at the time. The build up, I think, with Angle, when Angle was still in his prime, down wrestling in TNA. Joe really, and it's twofold. Joe really never had got the push that he should have, but at the same time, Joe could never stay healthy. He always had some malady, some injury that set him back. I don't want to see him in Impact again. I just don't think he'd get lost in the wash there. Same with AEW. Christian comes in and he's fighting Powerhouse Hobbs. I know he said in his initial promos where he wants to work his way up because he doesn't want to be handed anything. I get that. I just don't want Joe to be in the same boat where it's like, no, these guys have had a body of work. They should be elevated into the upper tier of whatever belt they're going after. I'd love to see Joe go back to Ring of Honor. I don't know if it'll happen, but that's where I'd love to see him go. That's, I think, where the money would be, just because, and again, if his concussion, everything's kosher, the doctors give him the all clear, go for it, Joe. I want to see you in Ring of Honor again. I loved it. I loved you there. Hopefully at some point wrestling returns up to Duluth, Minnesota, heavy on wrestling, and some of these guys and gals may be wrestling there. I'd love to see them because usually when they get signed by somebody, you don't see them much anymore. But there's the 10 wrestlers. To recap, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Mickie James, Chelsea Green, Mojo Rawley, Bo Dallas, Wesley Blake, Kalisto, Tucker, Samoa Joe. So if we got any more, I'll update at some point. And thank you for watching, and keep your ear to the ground.